What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeartRadio Countdown, and I haven't talked to her in a couple of months or whatever it's been. I miss her. Sofia Carson, how are you? And I'm looking at you on Zoom. Where the heck is this?
JoJo, I miss you too. You're the sweetest person ever. I love you. I hope Soph is doing amazing. I am currently in a virtual world of fool's gold to celebrate the release of the song.
So when we logged on Zoom, typically we log on and I see like, somebody's kitchen or living room or bedroom, and there's a TV on in the background, or she's got this gold. I mean, it almost took my breath away for us. It's a gold glittering. It's a crazy scene we got here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all for you.
I'll just lump these handful of questions into one big question. How was your 2020? How was your early 21, your quarantine life? All that stuff. Were you crazy like the rest of us? How did it go for you?
2020 and 2021, which is surreal to say that it's already been over a year, was, like for so many of us, a very difficult year, but at the same time, also a year where you kind of take a moment to step back and be so grateful for the things that you have in your life, such as your health, your family's health, and your job. And I feel so grateful that my job is creating music and releasing art into the world in a moment when I think we've all needed it the most. So it's been, a beautiful experience to kind of take a step back and focus on music and write tons of music this year and release music as well. And this being the first of an exciting music year for me.
And I assume you and your sis spent plenty of time together. And if so, is she sick of her? Are you sick of? Is she sick of you? Or are you sick of her? Yeah. if she's sick of herself.
Honestly, could you imagine we're just both sick of ourselves? It's been incredible to be together because our families are on the other side of the country. But I would say she's more sick of me than I am of her. But I think honestly, JoJo, we're doing pretty good. Like all things considering, we're a year in living in an apartment together with our dog Joey. And right now we kind of feel closer than ever. So that's great.
People are going to ask me, are you working on an album, an EP, or for a body of music? What else? What is the plan? What can you reveal?
I can't reveal too much, JoJo, but I can confirm that I am working on a body of music and that Fool's Gold is the beginning of the story.
And that is all you can say.
And that's all I can say. Then we can talk offline later.
So top secret. This is not a question, Sofia. I just want people to know what you did. And you mentioned my daughter, Sophie, earlier. Sophie, at the very beginning of 2020, she had a pretty bad arm break. This was like January 2020. And one of the first people, if not the first, that hit me up was you. And you sent Sophie a video, and she looked at this video as she's in pain in the hospital bed before the arm surgery. And you sent her some gifts throughout the next I just want people to know what you're like off camera and off air. And I will, on behalf of Sophie and our entire family, thank you for doing that. And I know it's not just me you're doing that to. Thank you. You're such a good human being. Thank you for that.
JoJo, that means the world to me. How is she feeling?
She's doing great.
Normal?
She's pretty much back to normal. She's had some physical therapy with the arm, just getting the strength back. But yeah, she's basically done with it. And this has been a year-long process. She broke her arm doing tumbling, basically. And it did it up nice. She had to have 2 surgeries, one to put the screws in and one to take them out. So, but
that's so scary for her,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
well, I just wanted people to know. I wanted people to know what Sofia Carson's all about. Sofia, your fans love you. And maybe this is a question that you have to kind of go back in time to answer. But sometimes fans get a little crazy. What is the weirdest, most awkward place you have been asked for a selfie?
In a bathroom.
Why is it always the bathroom, right?
I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. It's always the bathroom. And like you said, I do have the most incredible fans, and I've only had beautiful experiences with them, but that was the one time. I think actually it was after a Jonas Brothers concert. Flashback to when we could go to concerts. And I was with my sister Antonia, and we were in a public restroom at the Hollywood Bowl, actually. And I was asked for a selfie there. But
please tell me
a couple of bathroom encounters.
Have you ever had the slide the picture under the stall thing, anything like that? Yeah, that's
I will call you if that ever happens to me.
oh my God. Sophia, I think my gut feeling tells me at the end of the year, maybe by the fall, we'll be back into concerts. I really think
I'm
that's
right
going
there
to
with
happen.
you. I'm right there with you. And I will celebrate with you the day that that happens.
Are you guys in talks? Although early, I get it, but are you in talks for live shows at this point, dates and just general planning, or is it,
Yeah, we
am I crazy to
definitely
even bring
are,
that up?
which is really exciting. I mean, over the last week, I was in a lot of calls with people in radio, and they were all talking about gearing back up again for the fall and starting scheduling all of those shows. And I got chills when I heard them say that. I couldn't believe it. So I cannot wait.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm right.
Too,
I know
yeah.
fans are getting ready for that. By the way, when this thing lifts, we're going to have so many tours.
Oh my,
And
it's going to be like the Roaring 20s. People are going to be celebrating life every single day. I vow to do that.
this is the iHeartRadio Countdown. Sophia Carson's hanging out. We're going to play Fool's Gold, obviously, in a few moments. But Sophia, talk about this video.
The music video for Fool's Gold is my visual representation of the track of Fool's Gold and the story that I wanted to tell. I'm telling the visual story through the lens of fire because fire signifies the beginning of something, and also because the story that I'm telling in the record is we meet a girl at the beginning of love. She's about to kind of fall headfirst into a love that feels too good to be true. And so she's kind of metaphorically playing with fire. So I work with Hannah Lux Davis, who's extraordinary and iconic and just amazing and overall just a badass on bringing the video to life. And it was so much fun. And I'm so happy and so proud. We poured our heart and soul into it. And to Fool's Gold, when I listen to the record, it's a song that makes me feel good and feel happy for 3 minutes. And I wanted to reflect that in the video. And I really hope that when people watch it, that's exactly what they take from it.
All right, Sophia, let's do this track, Fool's Gold. We talked about the video. What else do people need to know about this track?
Fool's Gold was produced and brought to life by the incredible Stargate, who are just phenomenal. I've been fans of their works my whole life. And I want people to know that when I finished the song, we were in the middle of the pandemic and I was driving through empty Los Angeles, through the streets of quarantine. And I listened to the song, and for 3 minutes, it just made me feel happy and it just transported me. And that's why I wanted to start off this year with that, because if we can do anything as artists is release music that makes people feel good. And it's such a privilege. And I can't wait that you're going to play it on the radio. That's so exciting.
Sophia, what is the you're an artist, but you're also a fan. You mentioned the Jonas Brothers. You're at the show. You've been to so many shows. What's the best performance you've seen? Not yours, but another, artist.
Imagine mine.
Mine was so good.
Horrible.
I am the best.
Best performance I've ever seen. Why am I now drawing a blank? I will say, when I saw Billie Eilish live at the AMAs 2019, right before the world ended, end of 2019, she performed Bad Guy with Phineas. It was pretty extraordinary to see her perform live and just see not only her vocals sounded just like or even better than the track, but it was just so cool to see this young woman who's just so unapologetically herself on that stage, and the world fell in love with that exactly. And the other thing that just came to mind is I went to see Adele's concert right around like the Someone Like You era. And I went, me and my sister, and it was just 2 hours of absolute extraordinary, I can't even tell you, chills, tears, emotion. Adele was just everything and more. And that to me is music, when it's just like a voice and a piano and live instruments. It's like, wow, she was extraordinary.
Yeah, those are a couple powerful performers you just mentioned. I also read that I think your first concert you went to,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, was Hillary Duff.
It was. I love that you read that. Hillary Duff was my first concert. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild, and she's such a great human in general.
Sweetheart, absolutely.
What do you recall from that show, or do you recall much?
I recall actually quite vividly. I mean, I've been obsessed with music my whole life, and going to concerts to me was like the greatest gift in the world. I remember that we had seats pretty high up, but it didn't matter, and I just knew everything. I think she started with gosh, what was that song, like Coming Clean? You remember that song, one of her first singles, and I just sang every single word with my sister. And I think I even remember the outfit that I wore and the outfit that she wore. I hope that isn't creepy.
All right, well, big shout to Hillary Duff. Hope you heard that. Sophia, two-part question. This has to do with your performances. I want to know what you consider your personal best performance. Everything went right, and then the complete flip of that.
Oh,
What's the
God.
worst performance you did? Everything went straight to hell.
Oh, gosh. I have to, my best performance. This is hard.
It's tough. I know.
Uh, um, okay, first one that just came to mind, and this might not be the one, but it just came to mind right now, is it was Mickey's 90th anniversary 2 or 3 years ago. And there was this big special on ABC. I think Tori Kelly performed, Bob Iger was there, and I had the privilege of performing Part of Your World. And I remember actually, I found out I was going to perform 2 days before. And I was like, can I come down flying from the ceiling on a swing? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I came down flying on a ceiling from a swing, and I had this incredible symphony and orchestra behind me, and I sang Part of Your World. And it was one of the most beautiful and surreal and kind of out of body experiences of my life, because that was the first song that I ever learned as a little girl. So to sing that for Mickey on his birthday, it was like, it was so surreal, and everything that could have gone wrong did not. And it just kind of surpassed, at least the feeling that I felt inside, if that makes sense, surpassed what I imagined that it would feel, which is so special. Um, my worst, JoJo, I don't know. I would think it's probably some of my first performances. I would think when I was kind of still learning, because I remember right around when I released Love Is the Name, I was still figuring out how to perform with in-ears. Like, in-ears are
All
something
right.
artists use to perform, and it's a very different kind of sensation, like if you're not used to it. And I remember I cried my eyes out in rehearsals because I felt that I sounded horrible. I couldn't control what I heard in my voice, and I ended up kind of getting used to it. But I would think probably some of my first would be something that maybe I would cringe, but maybe other people wouldn't notice, you know what I mean? But I'm such a perfectionist, I'd be like, oh. So I would think probably one of those.
Yeah, the in-ears, they have caused quite a few on stage slip ups because sound goes out. You think you're performing, but you're not.
Actually, I
Volume's all
remember
crazy.
one very vividly. I was in New York. It was performing in Brooklyn at like midnight with Alan Walker. And all of a sudden, my pack falls to the ground. So I literally heard nothing in my ears. So I was literally just singing blindly. Literally, I was like, well, I hope that this is what is playing right now, because I can't hear anything. And I hope that they don't notice that I can't hear anything. So that happens.
Oh my, that's got to be an awful feat. You can't hear you. You can't hear this. Oh my
In the moment,
God.
it was scary, and then it ended up just being kind of liberating. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about it right now. So just sing your heart out.
Sophia, have you ever been mistaken for the wrong celebrity or mistaken for yourself? And what I mean by that is, hey, you look a lot like Sofia Carson, but that can't be you.
I get that often, actually. And so that's kind of funny. I'm like, you look a lot like, and then I'm like, I never know if to be like, yes, that is me, or just to wait for them to realize it. Or in the past, like before I think like Descendants really blew up and I would get recognized just a little bit, I would get Lily Collins, which was like the biggest compliment, because I think she's absolutely stunning. So that happened a couple times, which is pretty cool.
I could see that. I could actually see. I get Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block. That's who I get.
Oh, really?
All right. I even
was
got
gonna
that
say, do you get
once.
Brad Pitt?
Yeah, or Brad Pitt. I get that a lot. David Beckham. That kind. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, obviously.
I hate that. Yeah. You are set to star in Purple Hearts and also a song on the soundtrack. Walk me through all. What is this, and what can you say?
Yes, it
Let's
is a
go.
movie that I will be starring and producing and writing the music for. And it's my first time as a producer, and I've always loved being a part of every single aspect of storytelling and every story that I tell, and eventually like to get into directing. So it's kind of like my first step. It's a script that we've been developing for many years with the director of Pretty Little Liars, the perfectionist Liz Allen, who's incredible. And it's a story that's really close to my heart. And there's also a musical aspect to the story. I don't want to give too much away, but I will be writing the music for it, and with a really extraordinary team that I can't tell you about on the air just yet. But it's really exciting, and I'll be shooting that this year.
That seems like, when I first read that, I thought starring in and doing a song for, that's a big job right there. But when you're talking about writing the score for the movie, producing everything, this is like, it sounds like a year out of your life type thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of years actually, but yeah, it is. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like every artist will tell you the same thing. When you're telling a story, it's so difficult to not be a part of every part of it, if that makes sense. Or maybe it's just me, but like I love being a part of the visual, of the songwriting, the behind the scenes, the casting, every single aspect of bringing a story to life. And it's been really cool, been really, really exciting.
What's the target date for that? Or is it too early to even
Too early to say, but we are shooting this summer.
You met a lot of people. You work with a lot of people. Have you ever been, I don't think I've ever asked you this. Have you ever been starstruck? Just like, wow, I am standing next to blank.
100% all the time. I mean, my first time that I felt genuinely starstruck like that was I met Jennifer Lopez, but backstage at my very first red carpet awards show ever. And I was with a label executive who also happened to know who he calls Jennifer. And I was sitting at the award show and he was like, "Do you want to meet Jennifer?" And then I had to take a second. And I was like, "Do you mean like Jennifer Lopez, like J-Lo?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, she's backstage in her dressing room. Do you want to come?" And me and my sister were like, "Yes." And I loved J-Lo growing up. I mean, her, Beyonce are some of the iconic women who like trailblazed the way for girls like me. So I was literally shaking and he opened the door and I'm pretty cool. I try to be pretty cool. I mean, I'm not a cool person, but I try to be cool talking to people. And
Right.
I just couldn't say anything. Not a single word came out of my mouth. I was speechless. And the only thing that I could ask, like after 5 minutes of silence, was, "Can I please take a selfie?" It was horrible. It was so embarrassing.
Isn't it cool when you
She
meet
was
someone like
great.
J-Lo and she lives up to what you hope she would be?
Oh, absolutely. It's the most beautiful feeling. I also once met Oprah. Oh, that's another huge story too. I know I should have started with that one. But I was at Paris Fashion Week and I was at a fashion show and she was sitting right across from me. And I can tell you, I did not watch a single minute of that show. I was just staring at Oprah and I hugged her and her hug felt like how you would imagine Oprah's hug would feel, if that makes any sense.
How did it feel? If you could explain
Felt
that,
like
like a mom's hug.
it was like the mom of all moms. Do you know what I mean? Like just this beautiful, caring, all encompassing, all powerful, all loving hug.
Did it feel like you were hugging the most powerful woman in the world when you gave her a hug?
No, it was kind of tender, if that makes sense. Like I like in my mind, yes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm hugging Oprah," but she was so warm and so inviting. It didn't feel like that, if that makes any sense.
This is the most I've ever talked about a specific hug.
I
How
think it's the most
fascinating.
I've ever spoken about a specific hug as well.
All right, Sophia Carson's hanging out. What album, I think for all of us that love music, maybe everyone in general, there was an album that changed your life. For me, and I always say this, it was Thriller from Michael Jackson. What album changed your life, Sophia?
JoJo, you're really coming at me with the hard questions. What single album changed my life?
Or perhaps it was just a song,
I
but
was gonna say I can give you a song off the top of my head, and I have this song in my heart constantly, and it's Elvis Presley, "Can't Help Falling in Love."
oh, wow.
Something about the vulnerability, the honesty in that song and that melody and those lyrics that to me kind of they capture what music is and what music is supposed to do. It's supposed to move our hearts. And every single time I hear that song or I listen to that song, it kind of transports me. So that's I would say one of the songs that changed my life.
If you guys haven't heard that song, look it up. It's a classic for sure.
Classic. It's a classic. And you have to look up Elvis performing it live because that's also pretty life changing too.
Fool's Gold. It is out. Safe to say, get on this track, Sophia, or you're a bad person. That's a fair.
I mean, you said it, not me.
I did say that. A body of music. She won't reveal what. It's all top secret, but it's coming this year. We're looking at that. I'm guessing. Of course, the Purple Hearts. She's filming that later on this year. Who knows when that's going to come out? But look out for all this. What am I forgetting to ask you?
You are forgetting to ask me. I mean, whatever you want to ask me. We could talk about UNICEF. I'm going to work with UNICEF this year.
Please, yeah, give me some details.
Obviously, we haven't been able to do any traveling as UNICEF ambassadors, but UNICEF is actually undergoing the greatest vaccine initiative in the world in terms of distribution. So it's been really amazing to see the work that they're doing with that and making sure that there's equal distribution of vaccines, even in third world countries where access isn't as accessible. And of course, my part is to support that and spread word for that and just communicate that as much as possible. And hopefully, like you said, in the fall, once the world gets back to normal, I'll go back to traveling. I was supposed to be in Africa with UNICEF right before the pandemic, and I'm just really excited to kind of get back to our work and continue educating girls around the world.
When it's your turn, are you getting the vaccine?
Yes, I am. Are you?
I am. I'm afraid of shots. No, I'm not worried about the science of
just actual shots, the
yeah.
needle.
I'm not. Yeah, the science behind the vaccine, I'm good with. I hate shots, but
My sister's the same. Actually, I feel like most men say that. Are you terrified also of PCR tests, of rapid tests?
Say it again.
The nasal swabs, are you afraid of like the COVID tests?
Yeah, I've had, oddly enough, I've had the finger prick COVID test,
That's
but I
all.
haven't had the nose
You haven't
jam
had
through
the
your
nose
brain.
one?
I haven't had that one.
Everyone that I know on my team or friends, like all the girls are super fine with it, and the guys cry every single time. And I'm just like, that's just the difference with men and women in this world.
In a nutshell, guys, we're a bunch of weenies. That's what it is, So there's that. Sophia, thank you so much for hanging out. Love you. Appreciate you.
Love you, JoJo. Thank you so much.
At the end of every countdown, fist bump to make it official. Can you tap the cam? Bam!